Welcome to the City Council regular meeting. Today is Tuesday, October 21st, 2025. The meeting is called to order at 6:31. Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Councilmember Ding.
Say this. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Menchaca?
Here.
Vice Mayor Chan?
Here.
Councilmember Ding?
Here.
Councilmember Herrera Avila?
Present.
Councilmember Wu?
Here.
Closed session report. Our city attorney will now give the closed session report from the special meeting held earlier tonight.
Certainly, Madam Mayor. The City Council met in closed session to discuss the item identified as negotiation with labor unions for the San Gabriel Police Officers Association, the San Gabriel Police Management Group, the San Gabriel Firefighters Association, the San Gabriel Fire Management Group, and all unrepresented employees. And while I don't have any action taken in closed session to announce, I will point out that this discussion has led to matters that will be approved in the public portion of the meeting in the consent calendar. Madam Mayor, that concludes the report.
Thank you. We will now have some announcements from our Chief City Clerk.
Tonight's meeting is live streamed on the city's online platforms. If you wish to address the City Council during tonight's meeting, we request that you please complete a speaker's card and hand it to the clerk at this time. When speaking, please state your name for the record. Please note that interactions between the City Council, city staff, and the public during meetings are subject to the city's rules of decorum.
Okay. Approval of agenda order. Are there any objections to the agenda order? Hearing none, the agenda order is approved. Next item, please.
Presentations. San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments President's Presentation. San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments President Ed Reese will make the presentation.
Just a moment, there's some music back here. No? Okay, go ahead. So President Ed Reese, you're also mayor, or are you council? I forget. I'm currently council member, okay, but tonight you're president. Okay, great, thank you.
You just get some music to go with your presentation. It makes it prettier, makes it funner.
Is it? We on? All right, there you go. Good evening, Mayor and council members. As already shared, I'm Ed Reese, proud to represent the City of Claremont, honored to serve as the new president of the San Gabriel Valley Council of Governments. Today, I'd like to share a little bit about how the COG brings our cities together to tackle challenges, deliver results, and make our region even stronger. The COG is truly a partnership. It brings together 31 cities, 2 supervisorial districts, and a number of local agencies across the San Gabriel Valley. Our mission is simple but powerful. It's to give our region one strong, unified voice. It's to deliver projects that improve transportation, housing, and sustainability. And most importantly, it's to improve the quality of life for nearly 2 million residents who call the San Gabriel Valley, and in part, this great city, their home. The collaboration is what makes us stronger than the sum of our parts. As you can see in this slide, our mission, this big, requires leadership. And that's where our executive committee comes in. I'm proud to serve alongside a group of committed local leaders, each chosen by their peers, to help guide the COG's priorities. They help set the direction, review policies, and make sure our work reflects the needs and values of our member cities. In short, the Executive Committee, along with the Governing Board, keeps us grounded in the realities of our communities while keeping us focused on the future. But that leadership extends outward through our policy committees. These committees are where real collaboration happens. They focus on issues that touch every city: capital projects, the environment, homelessness, and transportation. We also draw on the expertise of city managers and working groups so that really our local voices shape our regional solutions. And this is where all of you come in. If you haven't already, and I know a number of you have, I encourage you to get involved. Your expertise and your perspective help ensure that your city's voice is heard and your residents' needs are reflected in our regional decisions. Of course, leadership and collaboration is only part of the story. Implementation matters too, and that is where our staff shines. Under the leadership of Executive Director Marissa Creeder, our talented team takes the ideas and turns them into action. They provide the expertise, the project management, and the support that really just make sure that our city's priorities are moving forward. Let me share a few examples of what collaboration has achieved. First, our construction authority. We're the only COG in Los Angeles County that has one. We're delivering 19 major grade separation projects, each costing approximately $100 to $200 million each at little or no cost to our cities. And today, we're expanding to highway improvements, transit facilities, and active transportation projects. Second is SB 1383. The state law requires us to cut food waste going to landfills. The COG has helped cities triple their business compliance rates and, at the same time, help food banks be able to use the food donations they receive by providing them with equipment and refrigeration, equipment that is really needed. And really, it does provide a win-win opportunity. We're helping the environment while addressing food insecurity. And third, Measure M funding. Last year, we directed $36.5 million to 17 San Gabriel Valley agencies for projects that really kind of make it easier and safer for people to go where they need to go. These are just a few snapshots, but they show the real tangible results that the COG has in our communities. And beyond the regional wins, we partner directly with cities in unique ways. I'd like to talk about your city and how we work together for the city of San Gabriel. Specifically, I would like to talk about our opportunity as a funding partner. The governing board awarded $362,000 in Measure M funding to the city's roadway safety improvements and bike lane installation project. This critical funding will help improve bike and pedestrian safety by closing bike lanes, gaps in the city, and improving crossings, among other necessary things. Compliance support. The COG is proud to partner with the city and local businesses to help achieve compliance with 1383. And in its ongoing mission to serve our member cities where needed, the COG leverages the city's SB 1383 local assistance funding and implements a compliance program that has seen all 18 legally required businesses and Ford food pantries receive the needed inspections and support to meet the state mandate. Additionally, the COG purchased 6 commercial refrigerators and freezers for the Asian Youth Center. I want to thank the city staff and who really have been excellent partners on this particular effort. And then in housing and homelessness outreach, the COG has provided homeless outreach teams from the Los Angeles Centers for Alcohol and Drug Abuse to support the city's homelessness efforts. The additional outreach teams are funded through a county, specifically through county sales tax funding. So those are some areas in which we are partnering as a COG with the city of San Gabriel. But the bigger point is this. The COG is dedicated to really helping you and meeting you where you are, to support your local priorities, and build something bigger across the region. That includes opportunities around the Olympics and the Paralympics. So, at the heart of all of this is what binds us together, our shared love for the San Gabriel Valley. That's why I launched the iHeart SGV program. It grew from my deep belief that we are stronger when we celebrate our common values and the communities we call home. This program is about bringing our member cities and through them our residents together in shared pride and appreciation for the San Gabriel Valley. For me, it's also personal. My love of public service is soul-feeding, and this program is my way of showing gratitude for our region, for our cities, and for the people who make the San Gabriel Valley such a special place to live. The COG exists to serve you, your council, your staff, and your residents. By working together, our collective voice is louder, our reach is farther, and we can deliver projects that no cities can do alone. As president, my number one priority is to listen. I want to hear from you, your needs, your challenges, your opportunities, so that we can make sure that you are getting the best and most from your involvement with the COG. So please, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly. I'm committed to working with you, to making sure that we're strengthening the San Gabriel Valley we all love. I want to thank you for allowing me to take some time tonight and share my thoughts and visit with you. I'd be happy to answer any questions or take any comments that you have.
Thank you. First of all, I wanted to let you know that I think you have the record with the most staff here for our presentation. So if you want to take a moment, just introduce them real quickly since they,
Sure, I will actually let them stand and they will go through their self-introductions.
Marissa Crater, Executive Director.
Jonathan Warden, Government Relations Analyst.
Great, thank you. Second, I was going to turn it to the city manager because what comes to mind, before I turn it to our council member, Ding, who's our representative, but the one thing that comes to mind with the COG is our one and only affordable housing project. And the COG played a very valuable role, and I was just going to pass it to the city manager so he can share a little bit about how you made that project at least possible. For the future, we're still gathering monies, but you kind of planted the first seeds. So, city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I do want to take a moment to recognize the entire COG staff and board, but Marissa Creeder especially, because she was she was outside the box is a great way to put that. We were having trouble figuring out how to make that 405 South Del Mar affordable housing project work. We were trying to figure out how to acquire the land, finding funding for that, as well as deal with the environmental. And Marissa and her staff were able to work with the Regional Housing Trust. And rather than us getting in the middle of that and being part of a three-party transaction, the Regional Housing Trust purchased it from the COG as a leftover property. And now they own that property, and the three parties are working together to make that happen with the related companies. So as Mayor Menchaca mentioned, we're looking for funding, and we hope in the next year or two that will be available, but the COG has been instrumental in what would be our first and only affordable housing project in the city.
So we look forward to the completion one day.
Well, Madam Mayor, Mr. City Manager, I would tell you that I'm proud of the staff, and Marissa is an out-of-box thinker. She is a great part of the team and an invaluable leader, and so we're happy that she was able to assist.
Well, next time you can add it on there. It's one of your many accomplishments. And so before I turn it to Councilmember Ding, does anyone else have any questions of the president?
Can I just make a comment really quick? Thank you guys for your hard work, dedication, and love this I Heart SGV. But let's remember that we put the SG in that V. And we're proud of that, and thank you for that. So this is awesome, perfect. Thank you guys.
I know we've been called San Gabriel Valley City many times, so sometimes I correct them. But anyway, now I'm going to pass it to.
I always correct them.
Yeah. Did you, Councilmember? Okay, Councilmember Ding, you are officially our representative, and again, I want to thank you publicly for dedicating your time not only for those Thursday meetings, but also the committee meetings that you're involved with. So thank you, and I give you the floor if there's anything more you would like to add.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank the the president come to our city. So the last couple of years, I have opportunity to listen the ad to hosting the meeting and for the SGV car. And by the way, thanks to SGV car, the staff, they do a great job. And actually, after I little by little learning, so SGV car is very important, like President Ed say, one city cannot do it, a lot of things cannot do by yourself. You can see the whole area. 31, the city where it's a SGV car, it's like some government platform to help all the city cooperate together to help our community. So really appreciate your whole team come to our city to this kind of the presentation. And I have chance to join the two committee. One it's the energy committee. That's the I think it's another same to your city, right? It's council member. The chair,
the chair is from my city.
Chair, yeah. And I just want us for the future, our city it's also can become energy safe the city for the because we're a small city, we should have some good environmental for our city. Another committee I joined, it's the transportation. So every month I have 3 meetings to attend it, but actually meaningful for me. Transportation is because our city is not connected to the metro. So I just want to find out what's the best way for our constituents, our residents, to how they can last mile to go to the metro. I hope the SGV still can put on this agenda to help our city, even our neighborhood city, Temple City is the same to us. So how can, not like some cities already you have metro. I'm glad that you have the metro to help. And another, just a little more time, it's regarding, I currently also joined the ad hoc committee for 2028 game, the committee. It's last meeting, I really appreciate the staff bring divide the 5 division and give it to us to opportunities. They just want to listen our city, so what the city can participate game 2028. So that's I really like it. I hope you can get our message. On that meeting, I have some suggestions. So I still repeat it again. I hope the staff to help. Like our city have the SGV Symphony, maybe during the game, so we can put on a more performance in our Mission Playhouse. That they also can know our history, the Mission Playhouse. Plus, we have the Mission is founded 1771. It's one of the founding place for the LA because they let LA the games. They should know that, right? Okay, I'm proud of our San Gabriel. And another suggestion, it's because I joined the Santa Ana Park region, the division. So I hope that we already have the SGV active SGV from the South Pasadena, Alhambra, and the San Gabriel. Probably we can extend to the Temple City and Arcadia, and then can move to the Santa Ana Park they can go to the watch the game and ride a bike, right? And another last things I think it's very important. It's a very good opportunity for us because I listen to like every city you have a chance to cooperate with the foreign country, welcome their ethnic, and the rest the visit to your city, you have some game zone or fun zone to provide to them, promote our city. So because last 2 years we have the 2 sister cities in the Taiwan, probably we have this kind of opportunity to promote our city, to welcome our sister city, the athletic and the visitor too. So that's, I just repeated my suggestion. Hopefully we can, everybody, our city can enjoy the Game 2020 to help our city and promote our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ding. I will say thank you for your suggestions, and I really appreciate your dedication to the COG. I know you're highly engaged delegate on behalf of your city council and your city, so thank you for that. And I know Councilmember Wu has some affinity for the games as well, but thank you.
Great. Well, I know you have another city to go to.
Yes,
So-
thank you, Mayor. I do. So forgive me as we have to kind of depart early from your meeting. I do have another temple city to go to.
I know.
I have 30 cities on the roster plus water districts and et cetera. So other agencies as well that I have to get through. But we're getting them one by one.
Well, I applaud your dedication and commitment, and you have a city council meeting to go to at some point. But thank you so much.
My
Have
pleasure.
Have a
And
great evening.
Councilmember Avila, I know you like the logo and like the iHeart SUV program. As you can see, I am wearing the iHeart SUV lapel pin. And tonight, I leave with you as a small token, your own lapel pin that you can wear here in the San Gabriel Valley and beyond. So thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye. And goodbye to your team. Thank you. Okay. Next item, please.
United Against Hate Week. Mayor Menchaca will make the presentation. We now invite Rick Eng, Communications Associate of Special Service for Groups Incorporated, to the podium to accept the proclamation. The full text of the proclamation is available on the city's website.
Okay, so before you take a moment, Mr. Ng, to speak, we're going to take some pictures, but I also wanted to mention that back in January 2020, we first started this initiative, and I happened to be mayor at the time, and we also had COVID. And so, and now we are fast forward to now, and I know you're going to share about the fact that the name has changed. It's who's taken ownership of it. It's called Special Services for Groups, and the lead management agency of the LA versus Hate Rapid Response Network, and it's a partnership of 16 service agencies and community nonprofits that offer services and assistance to victims of acts of hate. And so I'm going to just read a couple whereas. Whereas the Constitution enshrines equality on all individuals, regardless of race, gender, orientation, religion, or political views. And whereas the city of San Gabriel is dedicated to preventing and opposing hate and intolerance in our communities, the City Council supports United Against Hate Week 2025 and the city's activities to stop hate, intolerance, and bullying and promote safe, inclusive, and equitable neighborhoods. Now, therefore, I, Denise Menchaca, Mayor of the City of San Gabriel, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim October 19th to the 25th, 2025, as United Against Hate Week in the City of San Gabriel, and encourage the community to join in this observance. So, Council, let's invite Mr. Ng to come through the gates there, if Adam could help him. And we'll take a quick photo, and then you'll be able to say a few words. Thank you.
Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you.
And before Mr. Ng starts, I just wanted to share with everyone privately that Mr. Ng and I actually graduated from high school, Alhambra High Morris, in 1979. So we've known each other a very long time.
Very
and-
long
not
time. We're
private.
not using numbers tonight.
So-
We're just
Not
saying
private
very long
anymore.
time.
And so I might be taking a couple privileges here because he is my buddy. We've been good friends for such a long time. I've known him longer than my husband. But anyway,
I told the mayor that I was practicing my
he know that?
speech yesterday, and I said, I'm down to about 10 minutes,
and I told him I would use the gavel if he doesn't do 3 minutes. So with that, a little humor to kind of lighten the load because this is a serious topic. And again, I was so pleased that we were able to work together outside of our personal, socializing, but we came together for a very important initiative, which was United Against Hate. And I just happened to be the mayor, and you just happened to, at the same time, be so involved with this initiative. And so 5 years later, you're still here, part of this group, although the names have changed, and I'm mayor again. So
full circle.
Full circle. So it's a real honor to have you here on an official capacity. So with that, please, say your words.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Menchaca, Vice Mayor Chan, council members Ding, Herrera Avila, and Wu, and staff and management. I appreciate the recognition on behalf of the Human Relations Commission of LA County, which actually oversees the LA versus Hate program. And as the mayor had mentioned, I was there kind of from the beginning, and I appreciate this opportunity, but I also wanted to turn it back that I think San Gabriel itself deserves a lot of credit. You guys were there from the very beginning. You guys were very engaged. I mean, it was really reaching out to all the communities that make up LA County. And as the mayor had mentioned, we were confronted with the pandemic. Part of our work was to go out and do outreach and speak to community leaders, the public, and tell them about this program, about how now they can seek services and support. But there were really no programs to do or go to, so we had to end up kind of creating our own. And I think San Gabriel did a fantastic job. I mean, I can list them. Like the very first event was with teacher Terry Hopper from Gabrielino, when you guys had her students who did some great posters to sort of like illustrate, this, cause against hate, and had the presentation at the Playhouse. But there were numerous other events you did. You invited us to the Lunar New Year, the Lantern Festival, the Dumpling and Beer Festival. There was the Mental Wellness Expos. There was, and you probably remember this too, Denise, that the vigil and the march that you did for the victims of the Atlanta Spa shooting. We walked from San Gabriel City Hall all the way to Alhambra City Hall, and I thought that was such a wonderful event, well attended, and it kind of just illustrated the unity that the cities had in this horrific event that took place in Atlanta. But then also I got to participate in other things when Assemblymember Mike Fong actually had that anti-hate roundtable over at the Grapevine Arbor, and our State Attorney General, Ron Bonta, came down and spoke at that. So pat yourselves on the back. San Gabriel really, was a good model for other cities to follow, and I hope it will continue as such. And so as the mayor had mentioned that in the 5th year, I'm with a group called Special Service for Groups, a very large health and human services organization. And for the 5 years, they were actually doing the administration on one of the core projects and efforts of the Human Relations Commission. That was the Rep Response Provider Network. And you should have some buttons that I left. The city clerk was nice enough to pass it along. But this program is a very art-centric program. And we realized that in order to communicate with the vast number of people, 10 million people make up Los Angeles County, the largest county
in the United States and probably perhaps in the world with so many, I think it was 224 recognized languages. So the only way you can communicate effectively with these people from all different backgrounds, all different ethnicities, was to actually create art that actually will, have this universal message that they can comprehend. So I thought that was one of the key successes. And the other success, too, was the fact that now we were trying to educate people to realize that there is support service available. You had 211 here, and they were the intake portal system. I work with their care coordinators. I mean, admirable people. And I always acknowledge that I am not a social worker, nor do I have the credentials, but what I do when I do talk to people who are victims of hate aggression is that I can connect them to services and resources, not just what we have with the county, but also through the city. And the city of San Gabriel, again, led that as well. So I could go on, but you said most of what I was going to say, and you don't, yeah. But anyway, I do thank you very much. The last thing I will say is that, and actually for the benefit of the audience too, you mentioned we're in the 7th year of United Against Hate Week. Officially, it's kicked off yesterday, and it goes to next Saturday. But there will be programs that go beyond that up until December. If you go to lavshate.org, click on the calendar, and you'll see how much it's grown in the last 5 years. And in fact, one thing I will do a pitch on is that your mayor is actually going to be a participant in one of the events that is part of the United Against Hate Week, and it will take place Saturday, October 25th, at the Chinese American Citizens Alliance. It's called Civics Day, where we're getting young voters, young activists to meet with elected leaders and kind of engage in a discussion about all sorts of things about government, about public service, about the state of the world. So hopefully you'll have a chance to to attend that, as well as look on the website and see if there are any other events that might sort of attract you to attend. You actually have the Asian Youth Center, who had an event just today on anti-bullying over at San Gabriel High School. Fantastic workshop, and fortunately they're going to do it again on the 28th, so next Tuesday. So if you can spread the word around, that's fantastic. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Good
Rick.
evening.
And also, well, San Gabriel continues to be the birthplace of many things now with this initiative. But I wanted to thank you because you were a really good partner with us. And it was a difficult time because of the pandemic. And so we were wearing masks and doing Zoom meetings and just trying to get something done that had never been done before. So we couldn't have done it without you. And then second, I'm also on the 211 LA board. And our paths have crossed many times there, because remember we had that beautiful mural that was done, and you were there too. I was part of the United, Against Hate. So so anyway, with that, again, thank you so much. Okay. Next item, please.
Public comment. This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the City Council on consent calendar items and on items of interest that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the San Gabriel City Council. Madam Mayor, I have no speaker cards.
Okay. Next item, please.
Consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine, and recommendations will be approved in one motion unless a member of the City Council requests separate discussion. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953C3, reporting requirements, Item J includes the following benefit changes for all regular non-represented employees, including executive management. Effective June 28, 2025, a salary increase of 4% for cost of living, except for police captain, which will increase 12.5% for mid-market rate and internal equity, and fire chief, which will increase 12% for mid-market rate. Effective November 1st, 2025, the salary range for Community Development Director will be changed from pay grade EM2 to pay grade EM3 for internal equity. The maximum health benefit contribution will be increased from $1,650 to $1,700 per month. Effective June 27th, 2026, a salary increase of 3% for cost of living, except for police captain, which will be increased 8% for cost of living and internal equity. Additional changes not affecting executive management are detailed in the staff report.
Okay, thank you. Would any council member like to pull an item for separate discussion? Okay, I see none. Would someone like to move to approve?
I move to approve.
Second, who would like the second?
I'll second.
Okay, let's vote.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Right, okay, next item, please.
We have no public hearings or continued business this evening. The next item is new business item A, General Fund preliminary financial results for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. Finance Director Kahola Kula will make the staff presentation.
Thank you, Adam. Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. Will Kahola-Kula, Finance Director for the City of San Gabriel. It is my pleasure tonight to present the General Fund Fiscal Year 2024-25 preliminary financial results for fiscal year 24-25. The results are preliminary as they are yet to be audited. So we'll start with the highlights for the general fund for fiscal year 24-25. So the general fund is projecting a net increase in fund balance of $1.65 million. This is the 7th year in a row with a positive net change in fund balance. With that increase of $1.65 million, we're projecting an unrestricted fund balance reserve of $22.8 million. So this will create a general fund unrestricted reserve level of 41.3% of general fund expenditures. Total revenue for fiscal year 24-25 for the general fund is $56.9 million. This is an increase of $1.75 million. And then on the expenditure side, total expenditures is projected to be $55.25 million. It's an increase of $5.5 million and $1.9 million below the budget. Next, we'll turn to the fund balance, so the net change in fund balance and the ending fund balance. So as mentioned earlier, we're projecting a net increase in fund balance of $1.65 million, $56,892,000 in revenues, less the $55,240,000 in expenditures. And then you can see since 2021 through 2025, we've had positive net increases in fund balance. And as mentioned earlier, this is the 7th year in a row where we've had a positive net increase in fund balance. And then here is a line chart that shows our positive net changes in fund balance from fiscal year 2020-21 through the projected 24-25. And then I'll note that in 22-23, we squeaked out a $200,000 positive increase in fund balance, and that was the year we paid off the Public Works loan. Then moving on to our fund balance reserves. So our policy, the city's policy for our fund balance reserves is we have a target rainy day reserve level of 25% of general fund expenditures. Once we meet that 25% expenditure target, then any reserve levels above that amount are set aside to fund the city's retiree healthcare liability and to fund future capital replacement needs. And then here is our total general fund unrestricted reserves from 22-23 through the 24-25 preliminary results. You can see we've increased by the $1.65 million mentioned earlier, bringing us to the $22.8 million total amount. The total unrestricted reserve percentage is down a little bit to 41.3%, and that is because of the increase in expenditures in fiscal year 24-25. And then breaking out our reserve levels of the total unrestricted reserves. So as mentioned earlier, we have the 25% target of rainy day reserves. So that's the $13.8 million that is set aside for our rainy day reserves. And the amount over that, the $9 million, is we've committed it to fund our OPEB, or other post-employment benefits. That's our retiree healthcare liability and future capital funding. As of June 30th, 2024, our retiree healthcare liability was $44.2 million. And then we have the total unrestricted fund balance at June 30th, 2025 of $823,000. And then here is our total unrestricted fund balance from fiscal year 2020-21 through 24-25. And then you can see we were actually negative in 2021 by $576,000. And the city has continued to increase its unrestricted fund balance to the $823,000 projected mark for 24-25. Moving on to revenues and expenditures. So our general fund revenue highlights for the preliminary 24-25 operating results is our overall revenue increased by $1.75 million. That increase was primarily due, a large portion of it was due to increases in our taxes of $1.3 million. As far as the taxes increasing, it was driven by our property taxes in lieu of VLF, our utility user tax, and our transient occupancy tax. Our other two major tax sources, sales tax and Measure SG, were relatively flat or stable for fiscal year 24-25. Our transfer in from the retirement fund increased by just over $1 million, and that's due to higher CalPERS pension cost incurred by the general fund. And then our other revenue decreased during the year by $848,000. That is due to, we had large one-time revenue in the prior fiscal year, and we did not have that in the current fiscal year. We do have the details of our general fund revenues in attachment B of the staff report.
Will, may I please interrupt for a second and ask a quick, easy question? On the previous slide, can you please remind me what VLF is and how that works? Just a quick.
Yeah, it's a property tax in lieu of VLF, vehicle license fees. So I believe it was like in the early 2000s, there was an exchange for the vehicle license fees that the cities would get, and there was an exchange for the state basically exchanged it for property tax money. So we're getting property tax in lieu of the VLF money we used to get, the vehicle license fees we used to get.
Oh.
So it's actually it's a better deal for the city because it's property tax based, which is a lot more stable.
Oh, I see. Thank you.
You're welcome, council member. And then on the left side, we have our historical total general fund revenues going from fiscal year 2020-21 through 24-25. In 2021-22 is the year that we recognize the majority of the American Rescue Plan Act money that was granted to the city to backfill revenues that was lost during the pandemic. And then from there, you can see that our revenues have consistently increased from 22-23 and then through 24-25. And then on the right is the composition of our general fund revenues. Taxes make up 63% of our revenues. Transfers in from the retirement fund to pay for the CalPERS pension makes up 19%. Those combined is 82%. So that's the large majority of this city's general fund revenues. Moving on to general fund expenditures. So overall expenditures increased by $5.5 million. That increase was driven by our CalPERS pension cost, our CalPERS pension liability increasing, separation payouts increased, and contractual services, overtime, and the implementation of the capital replacement fund, which we'll talk about a little more in this slide, and then in detail in a couple slides we'll explain what that capital replacement fund is. Overall, our expenditures were $1.9 million below the amended budget. We had the budget savings was driven by our vacancy savings and department spending less than budgeted amounts. And we had a vacancy savings of just over $1 million, vacancies in the police, public works, community development, and fire departments, And then we implemented the capital replacement fund, and that was a transfer out of the general fund of 1.5 million, and we'll talk about that in the next couple slides. So we do have the details of the general fund expenditures at attachment C. So here on the bar chart on the left is a historical bar chart of general fund expenditures, and from fiscal year 2020, 21 through 24, 25. You can see the spike in 22, 23, and as mentioned earlier, that was the year when we paid off the Public Works loan in the amount of 5.8 million. And then from there, our expenditures have consistently increased. And then on the right is the composition of our general fund expenditures. And then like all cities, public safety makes up the majority of general fund expenditures. And then the capital replacement fund. So the capital replacement fund, so this is a new fund. It's used to account for the projects that are funded by the general fund, but that may take more than 1 year to complete. A perfect example would be the McGroarty roof. So, so when the project money is budgeted in the general fund, there's a transfer from the general fund to the capital replacement fund, and the project is paid out of the capital replacement fund over multiple years. So we take the full impact on the general fund. This gives us a true balance of what our general fund balance reserves are. Even though we transfer it from the general fund, if we decide to discontinue the project, say the McGroarty roof, we can transfer that money back. I've kind of put a little table to show you just the impact to the general fund. So we have a transfer out of 1.5 million, that's an expenditure, and then a transfer into the capital replacement fund, that's a revenue of 1.5 million. So fund balance impact is negative 1.5 million to the general fund. And now the capital replacement fund has this 1.5 million in fund balance reserves. And then on the right, you can see which projects are associated with that 1.5 million. And so we have the general plan set aside money. It's a revenue that is collected specifically to pay for the general plan update of $437,000. And all of those projects have been budgeted by the city council in previous budget. The McGroarty roof was budgeted, I believe, in 23, 24. And so, so now the money is sitting in the capital replacement fund and will be expended out of there. And those are the projects that, that will be paid out of the capital replacement fund. So in summary, just reiterating the general fund highlights, we've met our 25% target rainy day reserve goal at 13.8 million. We have 9 million committed to our OPEB, funding our OPEB liability and for future capital replacement. Our total fund balance increased by 1.65 million to 22.8 million, 7th year in a row with a positive net change in fund balance. And the next steps will complete the closeout of the financials and the annual audit, which will start next week. And then once the audit is completed, the annual comprehensive financial report will be prepared and published. We'll submit it to the GFOA for the award. And then in January 2026, the ACFR, the financial report, will be presented to the City Council with our auditor present. That concludes my presentation. I can take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Will. Does any council member have factual questions for staff? Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Will. Great job on the presentation, and I appreciate that things look like they're going very well. So, just a quick, easy question that I have, and this comes from staff report, page 3, and just where you list the revenue highlights, and it talks about how there's less real estate development, a little bit less this year, and I'm just wondering if you had an educated guess on why that is. Maybe construction's getting more expensive, or it's just the regular cyclical nature of certain construction, or just curious.
Yeah, so I know last year there were quite a few major development projects that paid for licenses and permits.
Right.
And so my best guess, with just the perspective I have, not being engrossed in issuing the
Right.
permits, would be it just kind of leveled out
Oh, okay.
this year.
Probably just the cycles and when the times of the year when they get their permits, or the times of the project when they get their licenses and have to pay those things.
Yes,
Okay.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Mayor. I yield.
Any other factual questions? Councilmember Wu?
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. I want to take a moment and express my appreciation to our city manager, our finance directors, and also entire finance and administrative team for their efforts and outstanding work. And this year, once again, that confirms the St. Gabriel financial stability. It is 7 years that of surplus and a strong reserve at over 40% of expenditure. So I understand that sometimes if out there that there's a rumor trying to say that City of St. Gabriel is not doing well on financially, that I hope all my colleagues can defend it, that just make sure that we are stating the true information that will not mislead any of our constituents that will still believe that city is not doing well. We are really good in our finance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Wu.
Thank you. Any other clarifying questions?
I'll ask one. So that puts us in a reserve percentage of how much? I know that we're doing really good, so that's going to boost up the reserve for this year, right?
That's correct, Councilmember. So total unrestricted reserves is 41.3% of general fund expenditures.
And just to clarify, correct me if I'm wrong, we want to be at 25. That's our threshold. If we go lower than that, we'll start figuring that out, right?
That's correct, Councilmember. We have a target rainy day reserve of 25% and a minimum of 17%.
Sounds good. Yet just to emphasize on Councilmember John Wu's comment, then 41, you said 41%?
41 point.
And it's still growing, so that's very healthy, would you say?
Yes, Councilmember Herrera.
Any other clarifying questions? Okay. Chief City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
No public comment, Mayor.
Okay, it's now time for council discussion or motion to approve. Well, actually, it's the staff.
I think we don't need it.
Oh, we just have to file. Okay. Are there any questions, any further clarifying, anything? If
Mayor?
not, we can move forward. Oh, Councilmember Ding.
I'm glad to see that this report. It's this like internal the city staff do the update for the information, right? So I saw you continue with the hire some audit to confirm that. So I wish you that if you got an auditor to confirm to help let our residents to really understand that we have the good financial stability. It's even you talking about the last 7 years, we every year increase. I think from 2022 we have the reserve fund. Before that, right now, it's have the 41%. It's really appreciate the staff do the good job. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I'm just real focused too on the reserve because I think it's so important. And that took a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work. I know Will and Mark, very long hours. I was there when we didn't have a reserve or a policy for that matter, but we do now. So there's many former council members who are not here today, but who also deserve the credit. But this has been 7 years of consistently being fiscally responsible and having a reserve almost twice, from the 25% that's required. So thank you to everybody for that. So let's get to the next item, please.
Approval of a professional services agreement with the Lou Edwards Group and FM3 Research to provide ballot measure polling and public outreach services. An award-winning bid to the Lou Edwards Group and FM3 Research. City Manager Lazaretto will make the staff presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. So as Sharon said, I'm going to take you through this proposal very quickly. Please feel free to stop and ask any questions that you have. But we talked about it in our last item. We adopted Measure SG in 2020. That is a local 3/4 cent sales tax. That was a measure that required only a simple majority, which is important as we talk about our potential bond measure that would fund a public safety effort. Without that 3/4 cent sales tax, we would not be in the strong financial position that we're in. That's important because we have been socking away that money in our reserves. As you saw in the slides previous, we've been backfilling our general fund balance. We have been building that rainy day reserve, but we've also been investing in our buildings. We've been fixing roofs. We've been upgrading our fire station equipment. We have been really investing in everything that we need to be a good going concern. We have invested in our employees to try to keep market rate staffing and to be able to maintain the great team that we have. With all of that, we have not enough money in our budget to pay for a public safety building. And so without cutting funds to pay for a new police station and potentially an administration building that would have both police and fire in it, we need to find another funding source. And so the council and staff have talked over the past several years about the potential of testing and then ultimately potentially going to a vote of the people to try to fund a police station or other infrastructure improvements. So the proposed funding strategy would likely be a parcel tax and a bond. The parcel tax would be some formula that we're still determining. We are doing right now the feasibility, the needs assessment. We hired an architect last year to do the needs assessment on our last fiscal year on our police station to come up with, first of all, a look at whether our current building could be remodeled and the existing space reused more efficiently. That would be a less expensive option for the city. If we find out that that's either cost prohibitive or we need more space, we would have to then build a new building or a large addition to that building. We're looking at what that funding would be. A number that we have thrown around in the past is about $50 to $60 million for a new public safety building. And as we have heard, that's only going to get more expensive. So every year that we don't fund this, it's going to be more expensive. So with that need and without the funding source, we are looking at that parcel tax. That parcel tax would require 66 2/3% of our voters to fund. So 2/3 is a very big hill to climb, and we would want to find out, first of all, if our voters would support that, and second of all, what kind of education and outreach we can do to make that more likely or more feasible. So we did an RFP to find services of a team or a single consultant or a team of consultants. One part of that would be doing the polling and to find out what the electorate would support. And then the other part of that team would be to do the outreach and education services. We cannot do any campaigning. We cannot do any sort of politicking for or against a measure, but we can certainly educate and outreach and provide factual content to our community, which we did very successfully during Measure SG. We received 6 proposals from groups that seem like they are qualified and capable. We did an informal ranking with the assistant to the city manager and I, and we came up with the Lou Edwards Group and FM3 as the team that stood out. They were not the least expensive and they were not the most expensive. There's a table in your staff report that shows they land almost exactly in the middle. To remind you all, FM3 has done work for us twice in the past. They did the polling for Measure SG and were very close in the numbers that they predicted and actually helped us quite a bit in framing that ballot language. And then Lou Edwards Group, we have used them briefly in the past when we were looking at potentially doing that bond measure 2 years ago, but the polling that we did with FM3 2 years ago showed that we needed to do more education and outreach for this to be effective. Catherine Liu is actually on the line, and if you have questions for her at the end of the presentation, feel free to ask. Catherine has been in business since the mid-90s. She's works all over the state, but in the San Gabriel Valley, she is really the preeminent firm in working with all sorts of ballot measures, funding for school districts, for cities, and for, you name it, measures throughout the state. But again, San Gabriel Valley happens to be her bread and butter. FM3, again, has done work all over the state as well, and they have done work for us 2 times in the past. So what the responsibilities would be is FM3 would conduct those statistically relevant surveys, and they would talk to our folks to find out what would pass and what wouldn't pass. And then that polling would educate how we need to, or inform how we need to educate our community, what our chances are, and then what that language should look like, and also what that information that we put out, what would resonate with the community and what those questions are. One thing I do want to point out is we have 2 opportunities next year to put something on the ballot. We have either June of 2026 or November of 2026. June is the statewide primary, and we could put that measure on that. November would be the general election. Part of our polling will be to determine which of those is going to be more successful, or which one of those will have a better chance, because there are different voters that come out to those elections. It's a different makeup, and different folks go to the polls and have a different philosophy, and so there is a difference in what our ability might be in either of those. There's a cost difference. There would be more expensive to go in June from an election standpoint, because we would have only that one measure, versus in November we're having the city council election, and so we would have sort of an economy of scale. That being said, that cost difference is probably outweighed by a few more months of the education and outreach campaign. So I don't think that council should look at that timing difference of June to November as an economic decision, as much as they should look at it as a strategic decision. That's something that we'll talk about ad nauseum down the road. It's not something you need to worry about today, but when you see the proposals, that's why you'll see there is some differences between whether it's a June or a November election. And the other thing, it's not on the slide, but there is an ability, excuse me, in the county of Los Angeles, there was a 1/4 cent sales tax that sunsetted when the new homeless funding measure was passed. And so most cities I talk to are going to be considering putting that on either June or November. I think we would have to put it on November. It's something our city clerk and our city attorney would advise us on, but because it's a regular tax, I think it has to be on that same election with the city council. But that is something that would be probably more likely supported by our voters, but that is not enough to potentially fund that public safety building. So one of the things we'll have to poll is whether having both of those taxes on at the same time could hurt our chances of getting the more important of the two. And so that'll all be strategic discussions that we'll have here with our team, whatever team we end up assembling. So with that, the recommendation is to authorize the city manager to enter into a professional services agreement with the Lou Edwards Group and FM3 to provide those ballot measure and outreach services. There is sufficient funding this year in the general fund. We added that when we adopted the budget in June of this past year. That will carry us through the end of the fiscal year, and then whatever we need for next fiscal year will be included in that budget. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the city council has. And again, Catherine Lou from Lou Edwards is on the line as well.
Okay, so thank you, Mark. Does any council member have factual questions for staff? I have a quick question. Page 2, it says, second paragraph, to fund a new public safety building and potentially other infrastructure projects. I think there's quite a few projects that we would love to help fund, because unfortunately, especially in the state of California, there are shortfalls, so I don't think we're going to be getting a lot of assistance from at the state level. Can you list some of those projects that you've thought about, Mark, including as we go through the discussion? But I'm interested to see what potentially other infrastructure projects you're referring to.
I'd be happy to, ma'am, and that's one of the things that the polling will help us decide. The two that come to mind very quickly would be the pool. You know, we've talked so many times about how we need to remodel our pool, and it's, you know, depending on how big of a remodel we do, or even a new pool we talked about in the past, that could be $6 to $12 million, depending on the building and that we accompany it with and all of that. And then the other is the Mission Playhouse. Not nearly as big of an ask, but we do need at least a few $1,000,000 for the seat replacement, for the restrooms, and for sound upgrades and some other things that are coming out as we talk about our strategic plan. So one of the things that we'll look at is, you know, public safety is usually pretty broadly supported in cities like San Gabriel. And so, well, the public didn't understand our need for a new building. They certainly do support our police and fire, and hopefully with some education, we'll have a good chance. The additional funding for things like a Mission Playhouse or the pool might sway some voters to help. But it also might do the opposite. Some might think that that's a frivolous use of funds, and so we wouldn't want to hurt our chances of trying to fund too much at one time and end up shooting ourselves in the foot and not getting any funding. So that's something we'll work with our team on.
Great. Yeah, because I think every community is different, so it really needs to be flushed out. Are there any other clarifying questions?
May I?
Yes, Vice
Madam
Mayor?
Mayor? Yeah, and then this is maybe a question for Mark or the city attorney. Regarding page 2 and page 3 of your PowerPoint presentation, please just clarify for me and the audience the difference between when we had Measure SG and it only needed 50% the voters plus one vote to pass, but this item would need 2/3, and what the rules are and how that works. Please, thank you.
So taxes that are dedicated to a special purpose are special taxes and require a 2/3 vote. General taxes require a majority vote, ironically.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess the twist is that in some cases, and I don't remember if you guys did this with your measure, but I've seen it done where even though the tax is being adopted as a general tax and therefore technically could just go into the general fund and be put to anything, the city would pledge it for a certain project or a certain topic that it normally would spend general fund money on. I've seen that done and still called a general tax.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other questions, clarifying questions? Councilmember Wu?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This question, maybe before a question addressed to Catherine, I would like to address to Mark. What the amount of money that we need to raise for a new San Gabriel police station or the public safety building depends on how we want to build it. So since we don't really know what kind of projects it will be, so the city council even has not reached to the point that or agreement that what we want to build. Is it the right timing, or do we have enough time to, to get good ideas that what type of building we want to build, how much we are going to spend, or what type of the finance that we will need, for example, the tax parcel, the parcel tax bounds, or build, operate, transfer, or any kind of financial options. That if we are not deciding yet how we can bring it to the public and that public knows what options they have, or if we have too many options for them, I mean, it could be failure on their, on our, the votes. So how does that work?
Thank you, Councilman Wu. So we are working on probably 3 projects simultaneously to make this happen. One would be the polling and the ballot outreach, and the second would be the needs assessment that we're doing on our police station. That's the consultant agreement we did with Griffith Structures about 6 months ago. They are looking at either December or January to be able to provide us with what the ballpark cost would be for either a remodel of our current facility or a new building. And so that will give us that number. In the meantime, we can use a placeholder where we'll work with Catherine and her team and our polling folks to use a placeholder number in the polling, and we will go about that. And by the time we're ready to actually go out and do that education outreach, we will have that idea. Council will have made that decision of what our goal would be of either a brand-new building and what the ballpark cost would be, or a remodel in that smaller amount. I wouldn't suggest we're going to give the community, options, because that is something that would end up being something that would probably defeat itself. So we're going to have to come up with what council thinks is the best for the community. We can do outreach, we can do town halls, and we can, pull the community for that. But when the time comes to actually put something on a ballot measure, we're going to have to be very unified, and we're going to have to be targeted in the way we do it. Otherwise, we'll have no chance of getting that 66 2/3.
Got it. So if we say that there's a timing option, June or November, if we were to take this one, the polls in June, when is the latest time that we need to make a unified decision?
I would look to Sharon for the exact date, but we work backwards when the county needs that last date for the ballot language and the resolutions and all of the legalese that we have to do. Usually it's about 90 to 45 days out, somewhere in that range. So we'd be looking at, unless you know it off the top of your head, Sharon.
Generally, we would have to do the resolution calling the election like 5 months ahead.
So we're looking at that January or February for that, and then for November, it would be, we did the last one in August, I think, when we did our Measure SG, either late July or early August.
Which means that we don't have much time for come up with a conclusion. We have to rush it, right?
We do not have to have a plan, like an architectural plan or a new building rendering or anything like that. We just have to have the amount that we're going to try to raise.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other clarifying questions? Councilmember
Yeah,
Ding?
it's almost related to the Councilmember Wood question. So, yeah, it's if we don't have the building costs estimate, I hear about until December, then we can receive we pass the contract with the company to do the design, either to the remodel or rebuild our new building, right? So how the rule they can do this kind of work during if we pass that, so they started their job right away, or until December they can reach out the community?
I'll actually turn it over to Catherine, because she's probably worked on projects like this that aren't fully fleshed out before they start the outreach. But I will tell you that we don't have to have, and in fact, we can't afford the design right now. Part of the actual building design will come from the proceeds of the bonds, because that will be, if it's let's say a $50 million new building, the architecture part could be more than $5 million just for the actual plans that we need, and then in order to get the bids to build the building. So all that to say, what we're going to get in December or January should give us all of the information we need in order to put it on the ballot. But Catherine, do you have anything more intelligent than that to say?
No, City Manager, and I might add, it's nice to meet everyone, to meet the mayor and council. Very glad to be here. To fully preserve the city's options in 2026, it will be necessary for us to get started fairly quickly. As your city manager has indicated, we do not need final plans. In fact, there is no successful client that I know of that has an absolute built-out plan. What they put before the voters is a cost to authorize a certain amount of bonds, and their vision for what those bonds would pay for. So, provided that we get started fairly quickly, we do have enough time to preserve the city's options for a June or November election.
Yeah, I still cannot comfortable if you do the outreach for the resident, if they don't know how much costs for the bond, how they can understand it. They want to vote for the
Yes, council
for
member.
the past measure?
Yes, the outreach is around the community's vision for their needs, what they consider the priorities. It is not really outreach based on the cost and the dollars and cents, but really, what are the things that are the most important to them in a new public safety building? For example, do they even agree the new public safety building is prudent? Would they like to see greater emphasis on dispatch technology? Would it be equipping our law enforcement professionals? What types of, in some communities, it is adequate rooms for counseling victims of domestic violence. It really depends on the community. And so actually getting that community input helps to inform the work of your future design professional. So we typically find that the engagement is very robust because everyone has an opinion on the types of services and elements that they would like to see in a future building.
Okay, I understand it. So you do the survey just for the public, they really think about their need or not, no matter how much
Yes.
it costs.
Yes, and then we would work with your city staff to determine the optimal sizing that we would test in the survey. Usually there's a low and a higher bond amount tested so that we can figure out what the capacity your community has and in the level of the bond necessary.
So that's meaning if the community they want it, but after then we got the cost of the building, maybe they feel too higher, so it also costs the risk. It's not past
Yes.
the bond measure.
Well, the polling will test, the initial polling will test tax rate sensitivity. So we will get a good sense of the level at which your community might be interested and willing to support. And we'll also test different components of the building itself. E.g., is earthquake retrofit more of a priority, or is the 911 dispatch more of a priority? Is equipping your law enforcement more of a priority or something else? So we will be able to evaluate both the cost parameters and the priorities, the bricks and mortar and service priorities that your community has.
Okay, thank you. But second question, it's you have two for the market. You have two company. It's one is it's a Lu company to the community the research, right? The FM3 that they just promoted. So they are this measure that we start today right now, or it's until we decide to do the bond measure. To do it's a simultaneous to do that, or it's separate stage.
City manager, if I might,
it's actually
the Lou Edwards Group,
Oh, please
yes,
do.
is the lead consultant. So we oversee the entire process. FM3 Research is the public opinion research firm who is our subcontractor who will be conducting the actual survey interviews for the initial study.
Oh, okay. All right, understand. Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that I think we have to look at this as, we're not putting anything on the ballot yet. This is strictly informational, so we can make that decision intelligently. And so, this is, we may never get to the ballot, but at least we'll be equipped, because we tried to do something like this 2 years ago, and based on the research that had been done, we decided not to put it on the ballot. So that's where we're at. There's no ballot yet, no It just, and really the information could be different from what, and I'm, most likely it will be different from, what we did 2 years ago. So I just want to make sure that's clear. We're still at clarifying, but did you have a follow-up? Because I thought I saw the light.
May I add? I'm sorry, Councilman Mu, I just want to add one quick thing to Councilman Ding's question. By the time we put this on an actual ballot, Councilman Ding, we will have that dollar amount, and we will have what that actual cost to each resident would be, and that will all be part of the education and outreach and frequently asked questions. That'll be part of what Catherine and her team does, whether it's broken down by, it's as much as, $1 a day or a cup of Starbucks a week or whatever those terms are that people can understand. That's where it comes in after we've decided on that amount and what that financing is going to be. But for all of that initial polling, we don't need that exact number.
Sorry, okay. So actually, we still need to wait. They do the outreach, do the research for the we need to put on bond. But I think the timeline, the matter, I don't think we can catch the June, but too rush, right?
Well, they're saying that they're going to provide us information by December.
December 2.
Yeah, so there might still be time, but,
Okay.
They're just trying to give us options, to June or November.
December, okay, we can have their survey and cost estimate for the new building too?
We'll have a rough estimate, but again, we'll just use the placeholder number of, 50 or $60 million, and Catherine will use that number when she does her polling, but they'll use like a range. They'll see if maybe, $20 million, I'm just making up numbers now, but they might say $20 million. Would that be more successful? Or are people so enamored with our public safety and trying to invest, would $70 million work? And they're going to figure out where that sweet spot is.
Okay.
And when it comes back, we'll then decide whether whatever the best number is something we can live within to build the building, or if we have to go for a higher number, let's say, because we need to raise more money for the building. That'll be something that Catherine and her team help us with, but we'll also have at the same time that number from our architect team that will tell us what that number should be.
So they do the survey, they have the cost of build the range from 20 million to 70 million, something. Is that correct?
That's right. We've worked with our financial team, and that's the third part when I was talking earlier about the 3 projects together. The third part is our financing team. We have a financial consultant that the city has had on retainer for several years. They work on several of these public safety buildings, so they can give us a broad range of just what a new police station would cost. They've done 3 or 4 projects in the last 3 years, so they know what those numbers are approximately. And then we'll get a better number from our architect once they've done the study on our building.
Okay, you know why I already concerned that this is good. It's with good project we need to talking about, but it's when I'm just moving to the city of San Gabriel 20 years ago, we already talking about the public building, but we never do it, right? So it's very important for our city. If you consistent to continue to, you never know. 20 years later, still not. That's because the cost of building is.
But we need information to make that decision.
Yeah.
But we can't even make that decision yet because we don't have the data and analysis. So, you're kind of way ahead of it. Let's get the information and then we can look at it and start deciding. Okay, is this something we want to move forward with?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Did you have a follow-up? I thought
Oh, yes, just a quick one. I actually appreciate that because I think Mark just answered. I just want to confirm again because Catherine said there was it would be just trying to ask if the constituents want or they do not want have some building like this. But I think you make that clearly is we will give them the numbers or a certain amount telling our voters that how much that could cost to our constituents that is the actual bounds. Does that mean we will not have renderings, we will not have architects, but we are able to get somehow the number close to the completion? So would we take more conservative way or we will just be more aggressive. For example, we estimate it could be 55 million to 60 million. So you will more estimate a little bit more because that could be could be a little bit costly if we take a longer time to make it build.
Ideally, yes. In a perfect world, we would have our number today, and then we would look at adding a little bit, because by the time we can actually build, it might be 3 years from now or 4 years from now. So yes, ideally, we would have a larger number. But that's something that we'll work with our Catherine and the polling team on, because if it's a situation where, let's say there's a magic number at $50 million, that if we go above that, for whatever reason, the public says no, we'll have to consider whether we want to just use whatever our rainy day fund is or other funding sources to make up that difference in a few years.
I see. So if we say that somehow when there's a plan comes out and we say we do not just want a police station, we want to have a police station plus fire department, make it as like a better, we call maybe the collaborated resource, so we can put a public safety building, and that costs more. But at the time, we already sent out the survey to our constituent. That means there's no way we can come back and say we will need more money, because we have already mentioned to them this is how much we will need. But if any additional space that need to be added, or we want to amend our plan, we can't. Or we have to find out another source of funds besides that.
You're right. And just so I'm clear on answering your question, all of what we've been talking about right now is in the initial polling.
Right.
And that's for determining what would be going on the actual ballot. We could change that number, even if we told the public it's going to be, $20 million and we decide we need 30 million. We could still, up until the minute we adopt the resolution, we could put whatever we want on the ballot. Once we put it on the ballot, then it's locked in.
I see. So what cost, I remember 2 years ago, we had the same research and we failed on that. So we decided not to put on ballot. So what is the difference? I mean, besides the numbers that we will provide this time, what else that we probably can make this happen successfully on our polling, ballots?
The difference we feel is that we're bringing on the team much earlier this year, and with those numbers, we'll have Catherine's team to help try to educate the community. It became clear that the community is extremely supportive of public safety, fire and PD in general, and that they are wanting to keep 911 response times as low as possible, and they see all of that as a need. They don't see a new building as a connection to keeping 911 response times low and safety in the city. They haven't made that connection. So that's where Catherine gets paid the big bucks, is making that connection for the community and trying to sell that to them, or at least educate them in a way that resonates. And if not, we might find out when this is all over that there's no chance in heck that we're going to pass it, and then we'll have to figure out what our next option is.
I see. Okay. So from the day that Catherine started the service until the end of the time that we will get the report, so we'll constantly receive updates about the public opinions and residents' willingness to support the possible tax measure?
Absolutely. So we'll be getting updates from the consultant team periodically throughout the whole process.
Got it. Thank you.
I wanted just to share perspective. I was part of the bond with the school board, and took us 4 times to finally pass it. But one of the things we did do is we had A, B, C, so A, what we felt was absolutely necessary. B was, it would be nice to have if we could get the support. And then C was icing, But we were able, with the process, and I don't wish anyone to go through 4 times of a bond, but we learned so much. And at the end, we got ABC, we got them all, we got everything. And so the only thing that stopped us too is the reason you want ABC also is because, we thought it was going to cost us, let's say, 30 million, and by the time we got through the construction, and, we were able to do some of the C in some schools, and others, we couldn't even get there because of the cost of construction. And so as she's doing her polling, there will be a level of priority, what is absolutely necessary. It might be having, just a police station versus a public safety facility. But those are things that, this is why, again, she gets paid the big bucks. They just know how to ask those questions and then prioritize for us. Because right now, I think it's just difficult for us to predict without doing, having consultants do the work that they're trained to do, and the understanding that, each person is different. Age is a big factor. We found that out for our school district. But anyway, hopefully that kind of gives you some insight what we went through as a school board.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other?
Question.
Councilmember?
Yes, to Mayor, if I may. So it sounds like we have the needs assessment, we have that ball rolling, and then we have this that I think is probably something that's required. Is that correct, Mark? Is it required, or is it just something that is strategically something that we got to do to be more successful? But then my question is, after we have the needs assessment, which is going to probably be ready like around the beginning of the year, and then this, if we approve it, is going to be ready by the beginning of the year too. What's the next step? I know we have the reserves are up, so that means we do a bond, like our rating. How do we get a better rate for that bond? Now we qualify for that, like a better interest, right? Would we have to, what is the next step? Would we have to do something so that we can get rated at that point, or where would that fall in place?
That's a great question, Councilman Herrera Avila. So just so I'm clear on the timing, the needs assessment looks like that'll come in beginning of next year. If we adopt the contract with Lou Edwards and FM3, they start tomorrow, basically. They're not waiting till the end of the year. We'll get that polling out. If I remember right, last time we had to do it a few weeks before Thanksgiving because we didn't want to run into the holidays. So we're probably talking about getting some of that polling out, if not early in November, early in December. So some of that stuff will start happening very quickly. So we're not waiting till the beginning of the year. To answer your question about the bond rating, that would come after we're approved for the funding. There wouldn't be a need to get a bond rating until after the public adopts a tax that would then fund the bond. Those ratings are probably $30,000 to $50,000, so that's an expense we wouldn't want to spend until we actually needed to do it, but it is part of that process. So if we are successful, we'll work with our financial team, and that would be one of the next steps after passing.
Thank you. And just a follow-up question for the polling and outreach. I'm not sure how this works, but last election, there was some polling and outreach for Measure SG, the last Measure SG that just passed. And that was more towards like a month before the election. Is that something else that we will consider to get better results, or how would that work? I mean, I'm just kind of curious why that happened at that period of time. And that measure was also successful, the last one for the schools, that Measure SG.
Oh, you mean thank you for clarifying that. So the school Measure SG. So that's one of the things that will happen with the team that is proposed for tonight. There are actually two polls that are in the proposal. One would be done sometime between now and the end of the year, as we talked, or shortly after. That sets what that community right now, with no education, no information, what their appetite is. And that gives us some strategy for what that education needs to happen. So then Catherine and her team work with staff, and we and council and the community. We get information out into the community and try to educate them on the need. And then right before the ballot needs to be adopted by council, another poll is taken. And that will tell how successful that, or how efficient that outreach has been, and it might change some of the language that we end up putting on that ballot measure. As Catherine was kind of talking in her examples of whether a 911 call center is more favorable than those meeting rooms to, interview folks who have been victims of violent crime, that kind of thing. That's what that last poll probably gets down to, the fine tuning on how to most successfully put that on. So that's what the school district did. I was working with the superintendent and their team during that, and was fascinated to watch their process. So we will be following that very closely.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. One more question. I think I'm good. Well, thank you.
Great.
Everybody. Thank you.
So I gotta respond to yours question. You have to remember with the school board, and I'm gonna go back again. It took us 4 times. Once we finally passed it, then we did another one, and that one we spent maybe 3 months at most. You have to prove to the community that when you say you're gonna spend the money, and you follow through with it, the community has trust in you. And so it was so much easier. I was also on the school board when we passed the second one. I was really surprised, but based on, we worked with the same group, they said the community trusts you. They are seeing the results. And we made sure that every time we had a project done at all the schools, we made it very clear, this is what we're doing, this is what we're getting accomplished. So the second one was so much easier. And then by the time they got to the third one, I'm not sure how much work they did do, but again, there was this level of trust in the community that they knew that the needs were there. I think the second one we did was mostly with technology. And so I just hope that the data that comes back is positive this time. And, once we get the bond passed, although we did pass the measure, our measure SG, not the school one, I'm hoping people could see that the money was well spent. I don't know, because this time it's a facility, so it's very different. With school board, it was all facility and then the technology. So the school district, I think, was in a much better place than we were, because it was work after work after work, just showing them, what the needs were. So I just wanted you to understand it just didn't happen all of a sudden. There was a lot that happened over years of the first bond that was passed. So anyway, I think we've talked enough on this, but we still need public comment. So Chief City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
I have no cards, Mayor.
Okay, now it's time for council discussion, or if anybody wants to move to.
I want to make a motion to
Okay.
move to approve the district firm to.
Staff recommendation.
Yes, for staff recommendation. Let me see. The city council authorized the city manager to enter into the professional service agreement with the Lu Airwork Group and the FMS3 Research to provide a ballot measure polling and public outreach service.
Do I have a second?
I'll second, please.
Okay, let's vote.
Motion passes by a vote of 5-0.
Next item.
City Manager's Report.
Thanks, Catherine. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Nice to see everyone.
All right, for those of you who haven't heard me talk.
She could
enough
stay for the
tonight,
rest of it.
I want to remind the council and the community, we do have Fall Fun Festival coming up on Friday afternoon, evening, 5 p.m. here in the Mission District. We'll have trunk or treat, we'll have our haunted zone, and obviously all the food trucks and games and everything for the kids. It begins our busy time of the year. We'll have our Veterans Day and Dia de los Muertos coming up in early November, so we'll talk about those as we get into early November, but we'll have activities basically from here on out to the end of the year. So please come out Friday night and celebrate with us.
Do you recommend council wearing costumes?
That is to the individual council member to decide.
Okay, great, thank you so much. Okay, Vice Mayor Chan, would you like to kick off the council comments?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a few quick things. Since the last meeting, on October 8th, I attended the League of California Cities Conference in Long Beach. There were some good discussion classes and regarding important issues like homelessness, public-private infrastructure partnerships, well, as we were just talking about infrastructure, and Prop 36 implementation and how the individual cities are dealing with that and how they can make that happen in the most efficient way. On October 11th, I attended an anime fan event at our own Factory Tea Bar down the street from here. On October 11th, I attended Monterey Park's annual house music celebration at Barnes Park. It's a lot of thumpy and neon lights, and it was fun. It was a fun event. They do a good job. Not as good as us, of course. No. Our community services is the best. And where's Rebecca? On the 13th, I attended my monthly Chinese American Citizens Alliance dinner meeting. And that concludes my report. I yield.
Who would like to go next?
I'll go next.
Remember?
Did you not go to League? I didn't hear you say
First thing, Martin.
Oh, okay, I missed it. I also went to, I think most of us did.
attention?
Yeah, I know. October 8th to the, I know, we ran into each other. October 8th to the 10th, I attended the League of California Cities in Long Beach, which was completely amazing. On Friday, on the 10th, I had to leave to the Well and Tap program to the 11th. We went up to Sacramento. And we also visited the Delta and learned about the Delta Conveyant Project and got close and personal with the infamous or famous smelt, the little fish, the smelt. It was
Delta smelt.
And the last thing here, I'll report out that on October 17th, I participated on the Principle of the Day. LAUSD has a Principle of the Day, and I participated on that, and I went to McKinley Elementary. Yes, McKinley, but not the McKinley here. Actually, McKinley in South LA, near where I grew up in. And I got to see what they're doing in the neighborhood where I grew up, and I got to talk to the parents, got to talk to the kids. And it was quite impressive to see the parallels of what they're teaching the kids over there and teaching the kids over here. Similar to what they're teaching the kids here and there, it's a lot of engineering at the elementary level. I'm so shocked to see them learning about 3D printing and robotics and all that leadership. And it's just the future does look bright. And I just want to say there's light on the other side. That's all I have, and I'll yield back.
Right. Which council member would like to continue? Ding.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So it seems on the October 8 to 10, I attend the Long Beach Cal Legal Conference and Expo. It's really, every year they have, so it's learning a lot of through this conference and expo. And I have chance to attend the LA County Division annual conference lunch. It's keynote speech is our current Lieutenant Governor. She's show up to have it's a good speech. And API Cox hosting the Prepare Local Leader for the Immigration Policy Change. So we should be face the current situation. So how can we, based on the current the situation, whether we can handle it. And I attend also during the meeting, I have the API Cox, the General Council meeting. And October 16, I attended called the Chinese American Film or TV, the festival with our mayor, right? And it's every year they get from the county have this festival the months for the November to it's a good celebration, the cultural exchange. And same days we go to the CH Jewelry, the grand opening with our mayor and council member Wu. It's first of all, it's thanks to CH Jewelry. They have our city, I think it's more than 20 or 30 years already, to help it's a famous jewelry store, and they give it to us. The city have a lot of tax revenue, right? And it's also, glad to see them open the new store in the Arcadia, our neighborhood city. I'm glad they still continue have the original store still in our city, continue to service our community. And as 17, I have chance to go to the Western San Gabriel Valley Realtor Legislative Day and have chance on the panel list to represent our city, to talk about the current our city development, and especially it's the question is asking our city have any like affordable housing or low income assistance. So we are bringing up to the, like Mark already talked about our on the 405 South Delmar, this project. It's really, we want to expanding to continue it to hopefully they can grant the opening ASAP, and because actually the community members, especially senior person, is asking this question a lot to me. They wish if they can open it, they can have a chance to apply. October 19, I have the chance to go to the Chinese Dancing Association. They are celebration. It's a Chinese culture. Yeah, it's really amazing. Yeah, that's all for the also echo the Mark to enjoy the holiday season. We have our city have a lot of the new coming the event. Thank you.
Councilmember Wu.
Thank you. I thought whatever Councilmember Dean mentioned, that I did not go any one of them, but I attended one, which is a Chongqing jewelry store, which has a great business in our city, and I always call our city as a birthplace of the prosperity business. So they are now starting their new journey in City of Arcadia, but they still have their business in our city, which is great. I recently visited Japan for a week. As an invited delegates of the Japan-U.S. Sister Cities Association, along with the colleagues from City of Torrance, Laguna Hills, Berkeley, Santa Barbara, San Francisco, Carson, and others. And this was a self-funded trip. During our visit to Osaka, we met many of mayors and council members from Osaka local regions. I had opportunity to introduce the city of San Gabriel to many of them, and they expressed a great interest in building a further and stronger friendship with our city. I also met Governor Kotaro Nagasaki from Yamanashi and Governor Yosutomo Suzuki from Shizuoka. Yamanashi and Shizuoka are two prefectures surrounding Mountain Fuji. And Governor of Yamanashi mentioned that they will be sending a delegation for Medical Expo taking place in Anaheim next February. And while planning, they will be visiting San Gabriel as a part of their trip. So on the international stage, I had the privilege of meeting with the Honorable Hiroki Koike, the governor of Tokyo, that I was able to deliver a speech at the United Nations University. And I want to special thanks Ileana for providing me with a great and short video that made my presentation even more dynamic and engaging. So during the visit, delegates in my group from California also shared the same vision as the city of San Gabriel. We are exploring the new paths to connect our community with the world. And I'm so proud that many friends in Japan now know that San Gabriel is the birthplace of Los Angeles region, a vibrant city that defined by diversity and love. By bringing the San Gabriel's name to the global stage, we are helping the world recognize that their first stop in the United States should be in San Gabriel. And with the 2026 World Cups and also 2028 Olympics game ahead, we look forward to welcome more visitors from all over the world to the hotels in our city, to shop in our city, and combined with our sister city partnership in Taiwan and a long-term collaboration with Taiwan Tourism Administration that makes our city a lantern city, we are taking a meaningful step towards making San Gabriel a truly global city with friends around the world. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilmember Wu. I want to thank you for being there on your own time, on your own funds. I know some of those connections we made during our Taiwanese or Taiwan trip, and unfortunately I could not join you this time, but you're a great representative. Plus, you also speak some Japanese too, don't you?
I do.
Yes, so tremendous advantage. So thank you for always representing us and, like you said, making San Gabriel, a destination place. So I appreciate that. I want to thank Councilmember Ding. He did a fine job on the panel, representing us at the West San Gabriel Valley Realtors. And so I know there was some interesting questions and responses. It was the same question, but everybody responded so differently. Just found it fascinating. But anyway, but thank you for doing that, Councilmember Ding. I'm going to talk about the conference, and just for the public, just a reminder: when we do go to conferences, we do need to do a brief report just to let the public know. What we did there. So mine is going to be just very specific. I wanted to let everyone know that there was a vote that was taken leading up to the conference, and it was to create a new caucus, the Military and Veterans Caucus. It was led by a council member from Arcadia, Michael Cow, who's a vet and a doctor. And the vote came to fruition, and we now have a caucus. I went to one of the sessions where now they want to create a small city caucus, and we would be one of the small cities. And the purpose is because the challenges and best practices are very different from small cities. When you compare us to an Anaheim, well, Los Angeles is the biggest, but there are just specific needs, and it was very interesting because we were those who wanted to stand up, and I was one of them who stood up and talked about our city, kind of brag some of the things that, we're doing really well, and then other areas where, we can use a little bit of assistance. And so it was just very interesting to see some of the commonalities there. So I'm hoping that caucus is created. I did vote. And so we'll learn more. They are still looking for other people to vote. So my colleagues, I encourage you to take a vote when that email comes in. And then there was quite a few workshops, but one of the ones that I just wanted to highlight was it was focused on AI in the public agency workforce. And it was quite fascinating. Actually, Councilmember Ding and I, we were both in there. And how, whether it's with our labor unions or it's with, that's the emergency alert. I guess if you silent it, it still goes off. Yes. Okay, there we go. I turned it off. Okay, turn it off. Okay, great. That AI is just becoming, it's part of life now. And we really need our legal, our HR to make sure we have policies in place so it's understood, when is it appropriate to use, whether, when we're dealing with our residents or we're dealing amongst each other. And so this is a whole nother world that really needs to be looked at now, not tomorrow, but now. And it's already playing out in so many different ways. They actually had some examples. So anyway, I found that very interesting. So I'm hoping to see more from our city attorney's office on this and for us to start developing policies, because this is something that continues to change. That was the other thing they emphasized, that whatever is in place now could be very different even 3 months from now. So
yeah, I echo that.
Yeah.
So we hopefully city manager the city attorney can help us to find the proper the resolution for our city too.
Yeah. So it's very important. And then lastly, both Councilmember Wu and I, we went to the Rosemont Park Turns 100 Neighborhood Party. If you recall, at our last, well, maybe it wasn't our last council meeting, maybe 2 council meetings ago, we did approve the survey that was done through our Historical Preservation Commission, but it was very interesting. There was, I think they set the model for future districts, future historic districts, but there was just a really nice, outpouring of neighbors and just really interested in, what does this mean and what are the next steps? And I just want to really applaud Cecilia and Renee Keffler for the work that they've done. We have our Historic Commission. Some of those members have been there since 2017 when we first began the commission. And it took until now to actually finally get that survey, but the work continues. But, Renee and Cecilia, they have spent so much personal time, and of course they have their home, but really they're setting this roadmap for others, and it's been at least a couple years now that they've been trying to really understand, what does it mean and what is required. But it was just such a feel-good kind of afternoon, and I want to thank Councilmember Wu for being there. Maybe you have something more to say, but I was just really grateful that we live in a city where people just care so much about our history and about our neighborhoods, and it was just a moment of pride, I think, for those of us who were there. So that concludes my report. Let's see, the next city council meeting will be held on Tuesday, November 4th at 6:30 p.m. The meeting is adjourned at 8:27. Thank you.